passion for polo will be the highest on the world's highest polo ground. Shandur invites visitors to experience a traditional polo tournament between the teams of Chitral and Gilgit. The tournament is held on Shandur Pass, the highest polo ground in the world, at 3,700 meters above sea level. The first time a polo tournament took place on the Shandur Pass was in 1936. It is a place unique and exotic in itself, surrounded by some of the most spectacular mountain scenery in the world. The event marks the annual rivalry between the teams of Chitral and Gilgit. The polo tournament has some added attractions for the visitors: trout fishing at the nearby streams and lakes, and a festival of folk dances and music of northern Pakistan.
Hello, 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 assalamu alaikum, ji ayanu, pakhair ragale, ni hao, chune shumme, washmale, ohio gonzaimus, guten morgen, hi, hugs, hellos, hola, bonjour, and thank you very much for tuning into PTV World. You're definitely watching World this morning alongside Maha Makhdoom and Shazad Khan. Hello, Maha, how are you? A bit of a hustle today early in the morning.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Hello, Shazad. Yes, there's a lot of things happening on Marghala Road today. So if you guys are ready to go to work, be prepared for a little bit of delays because there is some routes.
Yeah, there was, but now it's not there. So, you know, I think for somebody who was actually trying to move to their office, they have actually made it to their office. But I think that...
that will be linked in with our public service message.
All right.
So let's get started with our top stories, and then we'll talk about our public service message, which is linked to our general chit-chat.
Yeah, let's do it. President Mamnoon Hussain has signed the Election Bill 2017, already passed by both the houses.
Central General Council of Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz will meet today in Islamabad to elect new party president.
Bangladeshi Foreign Minister Abul Hassan Mahmood Ali has said that more Rohingya Muslim refugees arrived into Bangladesh from Myanmar as the two countries agreed to set up a working group to plan the repatriation of more than 500,000 Rohingyas.
And Rangana Harris bagged 11 wickets in the match as Sri Lanka beat Pakistan by 21 runs in the thrilling first cricket test at Abu Dhabi.
And another good news early in the morning, Pakistan team won the all four categories of Doha Open Junior Squash Championship. Pakistani players clinched the titles in under 13, 15, 17 and under 19 categories.
Excelente.
Excelente.
Great.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, these were the top stories, and now time for a public service message, and Maha will do the honors.
I will.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so as we had a very brief chit-chat in the beginning, so today it was a pretty rush day. For whatever reasons, you know, people may have not been able to reach work on time. But this is the thing, you know, for those extra 5-10 minutes in bed, yes, it feels great, but actually you're going to be rushing your day. And when you start your day off rushed, everything's rushed. And then, you know, your peace of mind is not there. You have anxiety, you have, you know, stresses. So do give yourself enough room for error
Yeah.
whenever you guys are heading out, or especially if you have to go to work. Make sure that you are managing your time correctly. So that's the public service.
And I think that I'm going to thank Allah for today as well, because today what
Yes.
happened that, when my mom woke me up, and then
So
I
lucky
went
to have
I went back to the bed, and I was like, okay, Shahzad, maybe probably we can sleep for another 10 minutes. And then I lied down, literally. And then I don't know what happened, and then I just got up. I was like, no, let's not do that, because, I need a window, because eventually I've seen that, it's very rushy over on the Magla Road. Thankfully, it was rushy, but other than that, there was somebody very important. So, there was a VIP movement going on Magla Road. So I had to take a detour because the cops weren't listening, and I told them that you have to be on television. But still, thank God that I didn't sleep for another extra 10 minutes.
Yeah, thank goodness. Otherwise, I would be sitting here alone today. But anyway, we have a wonderful show lined up
Yeah.
for you. As you know, we have been trying to promote Pakistan like for the last 4 years, and we can't say it enough, because there are so many positive things happening within the country. Tourism, we spoke about it yet last week or the week before.
Exactly.
And we were discussing, and we even were having a debate last night about how many domestic tourists there are, how many foreign tourists there are. And from my research, from all the articles I've read, there are up to between 50 to 80 million domestic tourism. And that's fantastic, but there are a lot of consequences or repercussions. For every action, there's a reaction.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about what are the consequences of domestic tourism, how can we prevent those, and how can we make a better infrastructure for that, as well as...
Exactly. And other than that, let's even talking about the international figures, I think the figure I picked up from was Dawn. So, for everybody who wants to do your research on it, you can pretty much do that. It was 1.70 million people who were traveling to Pakistan in 2016, and it's definitely getting better. But other than that, I think hats off to the Chief Minister of Gilgit-Baltistan as well, who's done a tremendous job in proving that, Pakistan is no less than any other country, and we are better than Switzerland with our northern areas.
Exactly, and this is something that we've been seeing grow and grow, and this is one positive thing. You've seen it grow over the last 4 years. So we've got some wonderful guests in the studio. They themselves are doing certain things that is promoting Pakistan's soft image.
And then there is a reason for that. So what we have done is that today we've got somebody who's an international traveler, and then we've got somebody who are young kids of Pakistan who are traveling all around the Pakistan on a cycle. So that obviously makes sure or projects an image that women over here in Pakistan are very safe. Doesn't really matter whether they're traveling in a car or a bicycle or by foot.
Yeah.
So on my right hand side, ladies and gentlemen, we have been joined by somebody who's a traveler, a British Pakistani lawyer, none other than Ms. Rubab Mehdi Rizvi. Hello, assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Walaikum assalam, and I wish I had half of your energy. Thank you for a very positive morning.
Thank you
very
so
much.
much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
And alongside Ms. Rubab, we have been joined by somebody who to me looked very young, but she's a master's student in a university, and she's a cyclist. She's none other than Ms. Kiran Zaman Khan. Hello, how are you? Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, assalamu alaikum. I'm fine.
Thank you for
Thank you
joining
very
us
much
today.
for joining
Thank you
us.
very much.
Are you thinking of something else to say as well?
No. I would say probably, but with the passage
All
of
right,
time.
last but not the least, ladies and gentlemen, once again a cyclist, and she's none other than Miss Fatima Ali. Hello, Fatima, how are you? Assalamu alaikum.
I'm good, walaikum salam. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for
being
joining
here
us. You're
today.
wearing a lovely pair of shoes as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're just those as well. They're very cool. Okay, so we are going to get started with you. You have been. Let's actually get started with your travels recently. You've had a very exciting adventure, which we were discussing in the makeup room. So tell us about that. Let's start from that.
So about my travels, the funny thing is that this is the only travel that I've paid for.
Okay.
Because being a human rights defender, normally we get invited by countries.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was invited to America as an IVLP, then I was invited to South Africa, we were invited to Turkey. So this was the only travel that put me slightly out of pocket, but I was very happy to do that
Wow.
because I believe in Pakistan. And as a woman, it was always my dream to go to Fairy Meadows. And that's whenever I would see the pictures of Fairy Meadows, and I wish they had more pictures of places like Bayal actually, because when I actually went there, it was just like breathtakingly beautiful. But whenever I would look at the picture of Fairy Meadows, I was like, I wish I could just go there. But it was a dream that kind of never came true because people would talk about security, a woman going alone, how do you get there because of the roads. And obviously, given the fact that you're dependent on your parents and their schedules and all that, it couldn't just pan out. But now that I'm a lawyer by profession and I was empowered enough, so I just tagged along with a group of British mountaineers. So basically, Kulsoom, who's one of a very high-ranking civil servant in the British government, she's a counter-extremism expert, but a mountaineer as well. Kulsoom was leading the delegation. Well, not a delegation, but the expedition. Sorry, I just have the delegation
Because if
in
it's
mind.
a delegation, that means that they haven't paid for their travel as well.
No, this one was definitely paid. I was out of pocket. So Kulsoom, then we had Keith, who is a teacher. He teaches disabled children with mobility issues.
Okay.
We had Tariq Modood, who's a professor in Bristol University. His daughter Yasmin was with us, and we had this wonderful couple from Bristol, Nasreen and Mushtaba. So it was quite a small group, and we just got along together with each other. So it was,
Okay, and we have some images as well that we will also share while you're talking. So now, what was, okay, now you have people from different walks of life from abroad.
Totally different walks of life.
International tourism. What was the purpose of your visit to these areas? Just to see what it was like? Just to explore?
It was to get a. It was basically because all of us lead such busy lives. It was the me time, the much needed me time. But the main purpose of visit, personally, obviously, for me was that this is a trip I paid for because I believe in my country.
Yes.
And people were asking me not to come. You see, in Pakistan, there is a thing that you weep twice when you come to Pakistan. The first time is when people scare you so much from coming to this country. You see, because A, you're told that the Ferry Meadows Road is one of the 10 most dangerous roads in the world.
Really?
Then people were saying, Chilas, you will be in two pieces. So they said it's a heart-stopping one. So you cry for the first time when you come because you're so afraid. But because you believe
For whatever people say.
No.
You don't believe that's why you're coming there.
So you're coming, but you cry because you're so afraid. The second time you cry is when you go back, because you've seen the beauty, the raw beauty, and you've seen the warm-heartedness and the bottomless hospitality of the people.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So yes, so I was asked not to come. There were a lot of discouragements. There were travel warnings.
We'll definitely come back to this. Okay, so we cannot step up in the
we're
game right
moving
now
into the next part of the
because
conversation.
now we're here. What we've done is that's the reason why we've actually invited Kiran and Fatma as well, because they are the ones who are actually defying the other image of Pakistan as well. And since you said that there are security issues and people cry when they come for the very first time and they have to listen to people that oh, this is going to happen and that's going to happen. So Kiran, how was it for you when you for the very first time stood by your cycle or bicycle and told your mom and dad, okay, mom and dad, I'm going to leave the city now on my bicycle. Do you have any issues?
Yes.
So tell us about your story.
Yes, in start I was feeling like it's Pakistan or it's we had a ride in Peshawar as well. So I was thinking that I don't know how people will react when they will see me while riding a bicycle. So when I went there, so it was an amazing experience for me because they received us very, you can say that very warmly.
Yep.
So I was so happy when I went first time to Peshawar, and it was my first time when I started riding bicycle. So
That too in Peshawar?
In Peshawar.
That's wonderful.
So, so it was a great experience, and I enjoyed it a lot. So
But how
I
did
don't
your
have
parents
any.
react? That was Shazad's question. How did they react when they
In
said...
start, they were a little bit afraid that they were scared that maybe don't know what people will say and how they will react towards you. But I didn't feel something like
Okay.
And do you have brothers, if you don't mind me asking?
Yes.
Because brothers, I think most of the time they have these issues with their sisters. Why are you going out? People are going to stare at you. People are going to look at you.
I
and
have no
whatnot.
idea why brothers do
But
that.
I guess my brother was, he was supporting me for taking the first step. So
Good.
I think it was very easy for me.
Excellent.
But there's one more point, Maya, and I think you can even answer that as well.
Okay.
So yesterday, what happens? I was in conversation with my nephew, and my eldest sister is coming from UK to Pakistan, right? And then she said to her son that okay, probably I'm just going to go out for a jog. And then my nephew said to her that, Mom, if you're going to go out for a jog, everybody's going to just look at you, so why don't you just stay back at home and we can buy a treadmill? Now, how do you think that we can get rid of this sentiment? I think this is a
This is
question
what-
for you, and
And
for
we will,
everybody.
we will be talking about this, and that's a very important point. So now let's move on to Fatima and ask her, how did you have any hurdles like this? Did you have people saying that just run inside, cycle inside?
No, actually, Alhamdulillah, my parents are very supportive,
Okay.
and they were so happy when they got to know that I'm like started to riding a bike and go out of a city. Like we both went Peshawar together.
Excellent.
And I have been riding cycle since childhood, but recently a year ago we joined a group EBR. It's for especially for girls,
Yes.
early bird riders, and
Yes.
it really encouraged all the girls to come out on their bikes and go to their college school on the roads, and it was a good.
Okay. Now, this is a very important question that fact. It's a
Yeah, it
fact.
is.
It's something that, this is the thing, you don't have just your father as your dad, then your brothers become,
Yeah.
another form of control,
Hurdle.
and then your sisters, everyone plays a part in it. Now, within the country, before we go out about changing the external view of the country, there are the hurdles. It's fantastic, we have people, women doing lots of stuff, but a majority of women are not as empowered or able to take these steps.
Exactly.
How do we, I mean, even Shahzad's nephew is telling his mother, we'll buy a treadmill.
And even he's from UK as
And
well, but
even-
he's studying over here. It's
Yeah.
been 3 years that he's studying over here.
Yeah, so now how do we, this mentality.
I'll just give you a quick story. This is a very recent one. So my brother and I, he challenged me to a race to hike to the Munal.
All right.
And he just thought that, I'll just give up halfway. So, but he actually gave up halfway.
Yeah,
And
okay.
he's like ringing me, let's just go back, let's just go back. I was like, there's no way that I'm coming back.
Yeah.
And you know how it is that I wasn't really sure as to what the route is. But I went all the way up to Manal, totally by myself.
Wow.
I wasn't afraid. Over here, people have this perception. A lot of people agree with me and a lot of people do not agree with me. But what I have found is the Pakistani men to be the most respectful men on the
Wow,
planet.
that's great.
That's a,
No, we are respectful.
I know,
That's not what-
we're not
that's not
talking,
what we're
we're
trying
not
to
talking about the
convey over here.
respect,
To some
because
extent, we can
to
say.
some
to
extent,
some extent.
yeah.
No,
That's a very good
which is why I had this caveat because I always get so much beaten when I say this.
Yeah, I've been like,
But no, I don't need that sandal. But seriously, so basically, whenever I say this, people say, "Oh, from a Bhutto Gandhi privilege, you're speaking from a point of privilege."
Yeah.
But let me tell you this: I have been on rickshaws, I have been on the metro, I went to Beal, I went to Ferry Meadows, I went to Nanga Parbat Base Camp.
Wow.
It's like one big moving family. They're actually protected. And by the way, I rode on top of a bus. I wasn't inside the bus.
That's great.
I rode on top of a bus.
No, that's not what
And
the
none-
problem is with
and-
Pakistani people over here.
No, but listen.
Yeah.
If I want to buy something, my family has a big, we have guards standing outside the house. My brother would, of course, say what your nephew said to your sister. And my family stops me.
Well, I didn't say it to her.
my,
Her son.
my family, they say, oh, women don't go out like this.
Yeah.
But whenever I come, I always go and I go to the chai khana myself. I go to the shops myself, and I don't have problems doing
That's
that.
great. Now my point over here was that even in the
That's
Western
really good.
in the Western world, what happens is that when you see people roaming around with short skirts or however, people just do not stare. They don't look at them in a way where they will feel as if they're trying to look somewhere where it's not very good, right? But over here in Pakistan, they won't say anything. They won't come
they'll
up to
just
you. They
silently
won't
stare
touch
at
you.
you.
They won't do anything. But they'll just look at you.
Okay, so,
it's the-
I think
and
this is the
that's
very
for-
first time
And I
they're.
guess it's the most irritating, I think,
Yeah.
action when they
absolutely.
And this is something that I was discussing with Mahabai. By the way, what I have just said earlier was
Yeah.
my own personal experience.
Exactly.
But there is a mindset. For example, in Hunza, what I found was that the women were so empowered. I mean, that gave me strength. Just looking at those women gave me so much strength. They were cooking in their restaurants. They were making these threads and all
They're a
that.
visible part
But
of
you
the
know, there is
society.
this trend in the local tourism, I think, might backfire the women empowerment.
All right.
Because they have this image in their mind that the women from Hunza are beautiful.
Which they
It's
are.
not even the
So
image.
I-
they
when,
are.
I,
Yeah.
when I went, I did see a woman of Hunza beating up a Lahori boy saying, this is not Lahore, behave yourself over here.
Yeah.
So You know, that is.
Okay, see, so that's the thing. So the thing is, I completely agree with you that, you know, people are, the males and the females are very respectful within this country. That's, you know, that's a given, no one's disputing that. It is the attitudes and the social behaviors, that's what we're talking about. And that is not respectful, as you mentioned that the Lahori boy was getting beaten up. Now, this is the thing.
But he was fixed there and then.
Exactly. So
the
now,
woman was empowered enough to fix him.
this is a very important point that you've raised, that the difference in the progression of each province may become a problem for the locals that are living there. Now, let's ask Fatima, how do you think we can, it's not about integration. Look, if people want to keep girls and boys segregated, however they want to live their lives according to their religion or their way of life and culture, that's fine. But it's about the respect for another person's space and movement in public. How do you think we can start teaching this to the local environment? You know, we're not attacking anyone.
Educating.
Even I have this mindset that I will not go for a walk by myself because I personally don't feel safe.
Just give me a call, man. I'll
Okay,
come.
thank
Don't
you
worry.
so much. What would you do? You know, as someone who cycles, how would you start changing this mindset to promote the tourism?
There are a lot of barriers when it comes to women going out alone or cycling.
Okay.
But I think it's not common here that girls are going alone, but when it will come common, like when I see Kiran and I will go together somewhere, and one day people will stare, second day they will, you know, pass some comment, but the third day they won't look at us. They'll be like, oh, ye to roz aati hai.
Okay,
So it happens like this. Like if you have somebody beside you, like your confidence boosts much more. So it's good when you
And
have
the repetition
somebody
of doing these things.
Okay, so my
Okay.
question is for Kiran over here. So now, Kiran, I think what we are referring to is capacity building as well. Now, for example, somebody who came from Lahore and got beaten in Hunza, well, obviously he was destined to get that beating. But other than that, you know, how do you build your own capacity? For example, if you have to, you know, go through any untoward situation, what would you do? Are you prepared for that?
Confidence, I think, is key. Because if you don't have the confidence, the inner confidence as a woman, you will not be safe at home.
But let's see what she has done.
I guess self-confidence, I guess, is the most important thing according to me.
You have to believe in yourself.
Absolutely.
No,
Okay,
but
no,
believing in yourself does not really get you away
it does,
from a
it does.
situation like this.
Okay,
No,
So
it
believing
does
is like, so
somehow.
now once then, because that's the thing, I think a lot of fears for a lot of parents or families is that if something bad happens, then how will you cope with the situation?
Whose number do you have on speed dial?
I just,
No
you know,
Where I went, the network doesn't work.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
I just start, you know, recitation of any ayat
Yeah.
for Quran.
She had an accident in Margla Hills.
Okay.
A few
And
So
then what
what
happened?
happened
I actually, you know, lost my, you can say, my front teeth.
then? Yeah.
I was broken.
Oh gosh. Okay. So then how did people react? Because
They were, you know, there were a lot of media coverage as well. So they were just picking any negative point, and they were
okay.
saying that, oh my God, cycling isn't good for girls, and look at this and that.
They were
So
discouraging.
Okay.
they were a little bit discouraging us.
okay, so now they've raised some points. The media. How important is? Well, we know how important it is, but how do we now utilize the media to instill and confirm that soft image, that the counter narrative? Because you have one narrative which scary people, it's dangerous, blah blah blah, but there are lots of people who've been doing a lot of work promoting the soft image to bring in tourism, and we have seen the tourism is coming back in swing. The domestic tourism is in boom, but the international one is still slow. One of the hurdles, we'll talk about that, that's the admin side, but the media role, let's talk about that. How do we make it that people believe the things we're saying?
Okay, I would hate to say this sitting on the media, but
It's okay.
I have always believed in people-to-people contact.
Okay.
All right.
We have the alternate media as well, which is breaking barriers big time.
Yeah, the social media, the virtual
social
world.
media, and if we went by what the media says, we would have never come here. And
That's
a lot
true
of
too.
people have said the best way forward, I think, is for people to physically come here, see the country for themselves, and also for the government to have some kind of a coordination with the people who come, so that there is.
Yeah, we'll talk about this coordination, but I think I know what role media needs to play. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think if we have got the tendency to do that, or probably the opportunity, I will definitely share all of those pictures where people have been coming to Pakistan and from international borders as well, and the local tourists. So let's go ahead, let's take a look at these pictures. This is the role of media,
I think
promoting positive Pakistan. Yeah, go ahead. And you can tell us about which places you were at.
Yeah.
Right.
So go ahead, over there, on the right corner.
Yeah.
Hey,
it's the
that's
far-
us. That's our group. So that was the fort in Hunza.
Altit?
That was the Baltit.
Baltit.
So you've been to
I've been
Hunza
to-
and
yeah,
everywhere
yeah.
else, right?
So this was our group.
Wow. Who took this picture?
Yeah, and this is Bayal.
And this is just a photo taken from a phone.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Look at it.
And let me
Whoa.
that was the route to Nanga Parbat base camp. So there is no route.
Well, it's not really a route.
That looks scary.
Are you guys carrying a parachute too?
So, but that was the fun bit. So that's Fairy Meadows. That's the
Wonderful.
route to Nanga Parbat base camp again. So around me there was like this steep. That's the Fairy Meadows.
Beautiful.
It is so you can see a reflection of the Fairy Meadows in that lake. So that
So
lake
amazing.
is like a mirror reflection of the Fairy Meadows.
See, so that's the role of media, that you know,
That's Bayal.
Wow.
that you share so many pictures and people get to know that, oh my
So
God,
that's
look at them.
Gulmeet, and I must
Okay.
tell you about these children.
Yes.
So Gulmeet, there was a polo match, and these children can communicate in 5 languages, which was so impressive. They can speak in French,
French?
English. They can speak the local languages, and they were so confident. You know, I felt as if I was talking to world leaders when I spoke to these children.
Education is empowering, and
It is, indeed.
And the thing is, that, and they're learning about life as well. This is one thing I noticed when I went there as well. Now, okay, that's fantastic. So you have these images. You took, you know, you went with these people who are from abroad. Now, what is their role, do you think, in regards to playing their part in promoting the soft image? Do you think they have a role to play?
Of course, you see, just by the very fact that when people shared the pictures, it came as a surprise and a shock. Like for example, the cyclists who had come from New Zealand, when they shared the pictures, their friends were commenting, why on earth don't they remove the travel warning? You know, so it obviously there's nothing that changes a perception more than visiting the place. See, I had a perception before I
look,
came.
here's the cyclist.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So basically, their friends were asking as to why the travel warning is not being removed, and these tourists spoke about Pakistan, and they said that Pakistan has bottomless hospitality,
And I think word of mouth matters as well. But
Absolutely.
Other than that, now for
and now,
example,
sorry.
yeah, for example, when all of these people left and they went back to their countries, don't you think that, you know, it is their responsibility first of all to, you know, communicate with people, because I think word of mouth is the strongest marketing tool. And then other than that, were there any issues or hurdles which they highlighted that, okay, you know, we can probably work on this?
So very quickly, Shehzad, I will say that first of all, the fact that, you see, I'm a British. I had a bias towards, I mean, like, I wanted to come because I believe in my country.
Right.
Had I gone by the media stories, I wouldn't have come. So when you come here only, do you have the perception changing? Only when you visit here.
All right.
So now, when I went there, I traveled on top of a bus. I was not sitting inside the bus, I
Yeah.
was sitting on top of a bus. When we crossed Chilas, we found about the security situation that has improved, the jirga packs, the sectarian harmony that has been created, the much improved, I think only they took me off the bus only when we crossed Chilas, they were like, sharam nahi aati ladki ko upar bithaya hai, kind of a thing. So they got me down back.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of these pictures were because I was sitting on top of the bus. So they weren't like from inside the bus.
Okay.
But very quickly, your perception changes. So they have fulfilled their first responsibility by visiting the place, being brave enough. And all of us were called crazy brave when we visited these places. One thing that you should be prepared for when you come for, it is adventure tourism. Like you saw that there wasn't a track. So people who want to have fun, they are into adventure, they are physically fit to do so as well, because it's quite a big hike. Fairy Meadows is easy walking, but it's 3 hours. Then it's Bayal, 1 hour, and then the Nanga Parbat base camp is another 3 hours. And it's all, you can see the tracks, it's adventure tourism. So people who like adventure, they must come, they must believe. And then obviously when they share the pictures, but one thing that is lacking is the coordination, the visa process. Like if you're going to Turkey, you'll be paying £10 and you can fill in an online thing. But if you're coming to Pakistan and if you have a busy schedule and if you're a professional,
Yeah.
you would want to be traveling to multiple, your passport will be stuck in Jerry's. There's no option to apply online.
No, no, but there's
Okay.
a reason to that.
Okay,
Since
wait,
we have
wait,
been-
but there's a
Yeah.
reason. But what we're going to do is we're going to go for a short break. And when you come back, we're going to talk about these reasons and all these visa processes. Do stay tuned.
Good morning. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. For everybody who just got tuned into PT World, you watching World this morning, alongside Maha Makhdoom and Shahzad Khan. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're
It's a
talking
great
about
show.
tourism, and we are talking about projecting the positive image of Pakistan. I'm not going to say soft image.
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing this word.
Yeah.
Project the soft image. It's the positive image, which
And-
is the real image.
yeah,
The soft image makes it look like it's not real.
Exactly.
Sorry.
And we've got people from two walks of life. First of all, obviously, we have got people who are domestic travelers, and then we have got people who are international travelers as well.
Yes.
And within the domestic travelers, I'm very proud that the Daughters of the Soil are actually taking it by their bicycles as well. That they're moving places.
Wonderful. And so now let's move on to Kiran. What are your plans now going forward? And it's going to be double barrel
Yeah.
question. What are your plans going forward? And what has been the response when you've posted and shared your stuff online and with the community? And be honest, you can
So
be honest.
since you guys work as a double barrel, so you answer one barrel and you answer the other barrel,
Okay.
all right?
Actually, my future plan is that I want to travel around the whole Pakistan on my bicycle, and I want to make some, you can say that record or some name in cycling,
Okay.
in female cycling, you can say. And the hurdles you're talking about is like there isn't any kind. I didn't feel any hurdle in on my way when I ride a
Great.
bicycle. So I guess according to me, it's fine.
Okay.
Right,
And when
in
you share
Pakistan.
things online and social media and the media, like you said when you had the accident, has it like
No, people support us mostly.
do? Mostly
They
support you.
never, they never comment anything negative. They mostly positively, argument.
Wonderful.
And this is what we want as well. So Fatma, what's
Fatma,
your
what about
take on
you?
this one?
Well, riding on a flat ground is one thing, but I want to ride on like some steepy path to go on to make some record, like Samar Khan did. So that's my plan, but I'm like trying to be, a good rider on flippy
So,
and
out of all of these positive comments which you get when you post your pictures on social
Yeah.
media platforms, you obviously kind of connect to the international audience too, right? So do they feel like coming to Pakistan as well when you share your pictures?
the
Do they feel
feedback?
more secure? How do they feel?
Well, I've always gotten like a very positive feedback. Like I've heard some girls in saying, "Nahin, bahut negative feedback hai," but for me, I've always got a very positive feedback, and people like they get inspired by us, and they also want to like ride bicycles like us.
wonderful? That's so
Wow.
good.
And, and can you guys fix your bicycles by yourself as well if something goes wrong?
Yes,
Really?
somehow.
Are you guys trained for that?
No,
Yes.
but I think we should.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Very
Yes,
important.
especially
Yeah.
if you want to do these like steep climbs and these
Exactly,
mountains
exactly.
and
We
stuff.
should learn this thing.
And
Yeah,
then
you
how
should.
many other younger women want to be cyclists just like you guys?
Do you know how
I
many
guess
do you
there's a
know?
huge number now.
Yeah.
People want to join us mostly. I mean, many females who are at the age of 50 or 60, they also join us mostly in cycling.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's
Well,
no
I
age
think
limit.
they'll probably
Yeah,
need
there's
a
no age limit.
cushion sofa
Don't
to,
say
to
that.
sit on a bicycle for a 50. It's hard for me to sit on a bicycle.
Yeah, that's because
It wrecks after a while, yeah, honestly. And,
no, they look more active. I
and
guess.
is this like an open group? Can I join this group as well? Or
Yes,
is it
anyone
just for
can
ladies?
join.
Anyone can join. No,
Anyone,
anyone
yeah,
can
see?
join.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on, man. I'm
so
on.
you have this Lahori boy who's in the European of Gilgit, Baltistan.
Try going.
I'm going to wear my spectacles as well. I'm going to wear my shades and then I'll be like,
Like
You
how
know,
it is
I
a
think the
must.
men in this country, you need to, some of them need to put the blinkers on.
yeah,
you know, like-
the one you have on the horse.
Exactly.
Right?
Okay, so now let's talk. Okay, now before the break, we were talking
Hey, how
about
come
the
the
visa.
question changes each time you come to me?
Because this question wasn't for you.
Yeah, because we're talking about the other side with you. But we'll talk about your future plans in a moment. But first, I wanted to talk about the visa plans. Okay, so the visa issues and the hurdles that we were talking about from the international capacity.
Yes.
As you mentioned, when you come here, you have to then go through the NOC, you have to go through the different things. Now, from our side, you know, there are security risks. The systems do need to be improved to
Yeah.
a certain degree, but it is for the security of the nation that these things are in place. Just like when our visas are going through processes to these countries,
right.
they go through very strict security. So why should we change ours, do you think, to accommodate them?
Well, I think part of that question I may not be able to answer because as a British citizen, I don't really have a problem with, but I think one of the main concerns, I think it still needs to be, well, you've had people with question marks on them coming in the country anyway, so why have such a tough bureaucratic process for the tourists? I
Once
think the
they're in as
tourism,
well.
and so you see, if there is an online visa application possible, it will save people the commute within England as well. So that would save them the costs, and the scrutiny is possible anyways. So the visa is a huge issue, an impediment in tourism. The second thing that the tourists, which is a bit of a low, is that when it's about the maintenance of the tourist destinations, that, you know, we saw a lot of plastic bottles and these things. So we have to kind of ensure that the raw beauty of these places is kind of maintained.
Okay.
So it was a bit disheartening to see the plastic bottles scattered around. But one thing that I would really say, and I can't repeat enough, is that we need to visit. The locals want you to visit the places. They are so hospitable, and I must, you know, and you go to these places. I've been to Switzerland, and you get a totally. I don't believe in comparing places. You get a totally different flavor of mountains when you come to Pakistan. These are the mountains that don't exist anywhere else in the world. This is raw beauty, untouched by man. And when I spoke, I must share. I'm trying to give a lot of info. I'll just quickly share what.
I can see you got a lot of information you want to get all out.
Yes, you know, So the guide, you know, because it touched my heart, Shehzad and Maha, I have to share. So I said to these were very poor people, very poor people living in mountain villages, and they were like, "Can you encourage more tourists to come?" And I was like, "Yes, of course. You know, we will share pictures, and more people will come to you, and you've been so hospitable." So the tourist just thought for a second. He said, "You are Pakistani origin, aren't you? And you're a lawyer." And I said, "Yes." And his name was Afzal Bhai. And he said to me that our real sarmaya is you people.
Yeah.
We want
True
you.
essence.
We want you people to come back. And he said, "Jab aap hi log chale gaye, to kaun aayega?"
Exactly.
He said that when you people who were born here, when you have left, who will come here?
And I think Maha is an example of that too as well, that, you know, she came back to Pakistan with a mission that, you know, she's going to serve the country, and I think you've done a great deal as well. You keep on calling your friends as well. Then you guys travel to all the places within Pakistan, and I think that is what we need to do. And for all those people who are even living in Pakistan, I think that we need to go places beyond Maria or Natia Gali.
No, but even though, when you go to these places...
That's just foothills.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's about respecting those places when you go. Now, okay, and this is the thing, I do want to come back to, just before we finish, just final thing. I want to ask these girls, this mentality that, you know, this... I'm sorry I picked up on this Lahori boy, because I do feel this a little bit more. Like, you know, this.
Well, I only heard about Pindi boys though.
Yeah.
Never
So
knew
now,
about
how
Lahori
do you
boys.
think we can get, you know, boys as well to be as accepting of women going out and, you know, like Shehzad's...
Just act normal.
Shehzad's sister, when she wants to go for a run outside, you know, how can we be like, okay, go, it's cool. How can we get
so that I don't know, I have to run like you
yeah.
know, half a mile away from her. Oh, is she fine?
Yeah. Okay, so Fatima, quickly, just give me an idea.
Well, the people around me, like the boys and girls, we all go together. So I've never experienced anything like a guy saying, "No, you don't go," or "You come behind me, okay, follow me." So I've never experienced anything like that.
Lead by example.
They mostly support us. I mean, I never felt like...
Fantastic. Wonderful. Great. Thank you.
I think it's the inner courage. Any guy who even dares to come there, we would, you know, probably the inner courage shows.
And we need to put under consideration a fact, ladies and gentlemen, and that is that 55% of the population of this world is women.
And very soon there will be more.
Yeah, and I think it's about time that they need to hold our hands, or probably we need to hold their hands as well, so that we can do it together.
And also, you know, from what we were talking about when we're learning about fertility and all the eggs and stuff, the female egg survives and is stronger as well. So you guys need to start...
Girl power.
Yeah,
Powerpuff Girls.
exactly. So you need to start... you know, getting used to it, basically. So for any information regarding tourism, international or domestic, do log on to our Facebook fan page.
Which is with the name of World This Morning.
Twitter page.
World This Morning without a G.
Our Daily Motion YouTube page.
World This Morning.
And the repeat is at?
11 p.m.
Have a wonderful day. The country is beautiful. Go enjoy it. And we will see you bright and early tomorrow morning.
Till the next time, Pakistan,
Zindabad.
Zindabad. Thank you very much.